to pray. There's no angels where I go, only pieces that are broken, scattered dreams across the floor. I'm home.
Alrighty, hello everybody, this is Kirusha here. Now then, whenever we last left off, Deku, he had just learned that he needs to basically be the big brother, and or the big guy, taking care of everyone at the carnival, and or the kids that he's friends with. So, let us do a bit of a time skip. Now, before you guys say that this is going to be too short, it's not going to be. This is going to be 8 years. Deku is at the age of 12. He's lived at the carnival and been all over Japan. And, well, it's a bit lackluster now. Things were impressive back when he was younger. And, well, it's been a bit harder now. The carnival is interesting to some people, but to some it's not really a point for them. Deku's dad's been injured and, well, has done a lot of different jumps in his life, and Deku's even starting to get into it. Since his dad sometimes has to stay home, or just sits around drinking, with an ice pack on his latest injury. So Deku, since he doesn't have any money, and they're having a bit of trouble covering food, because of his dad's excessive drinking, he decides to talk with a man, Mr. Kane, saying that he wants in. He wants to eventually leave this life behind, which Mr. Kane's a bit confused by, asking what he means. Deku would just say that he wants to save up some money to get him and his dad out of here. Not just that, he wants to help everyone. Well, kid, I can't really blame you. You've been a lot of these kids' heroes for a while, but they're, as the man would just somewhat look away, saying that a lot of them have left. So, you can't blame yourself. Listen to me. You can protect those around you, and, well, protect them like their family. Keep them close to you, and as there would be a loud sound, there are loud cars driving by. As Deku would hear them, he would run outside looking as they just zoom past and disrupt everything going on, scaring the animals and actually messing with some of the acts they were performing. This is late at night, and the man would just say that Deku, or Midoriya, they have been a bit tricky. They've been racing around here every night, and seems like they're doing more than just that. They've been messing with some of our acts and harassing some of our people. Deku, hearing that, would just understand. He just thinks that that's annoying. Now then, this is where the man would just say that he can offer him at least some advice. Go get your father's bike, and if you can perform a jump tomorrow, then I'll consider you to be in. But if you get hurt, then, well, I won't allow you to do it. Alright, Mr. Kane. As Deku walks away. Toru, she would be working on her makeup skills, and actually in an outfit. As she would walk over to Deku, asking exactly what is he doing. To which he would say that he plans on getting in the family business. Alright, well, what are you gonna do? Well, first off, I gotta, well, do a jump. If I can make it, then I can get some money. As Deku would then turn to her and say, then we can run away together. As he somewhat just laughs and smirks. She would immediately look at Deku as she somewhat blushes, saying that that is not going to happen. Besides, we might be leaving soon. To which Deku looks confused by, asking what does she mean? Well, it's just that my dad, he may have actually found a job. So, we might be able to get out of here. Really? Well, that's great. But you're still gonna come by, right? Well, as she somewhat just says that, maybe and probably she'll be able to see him when she comes back into town next year. So, it won't be all bad. Besides, maybe now you won't have to clean out those pens all the time. Yeah, not fun. As Deku would walk away, realizing that he's about to lose another friend. Everyone who he knew as a kid, they've all left. Gotten different jobs, different lives now. Well, he's just that kid stuck at a carnival. Now, Deku, the next morning. He would just wake up as his dad is passed out on the couch. He would just slip on a jacket and a pair of pants. Putting on his shoes, he would just walk towards the door. As soon as he does so, he sees his dad's pack of cigarettes on the ground. Picking them up and opening them. Only 3 cigarettes are missing, so he does one thing as he just pockets them and walks out. As he tosses them in the trash can as soon as he walks by it. These things will kill him one day. Now, while that's happening, Deku, he would get the bike ready, as he is waiting for Mr. Kane. Mr. Kane would get everything lined up, and Deku has to jump 5 car lengths. So what his dad did before. So he's a bit nervous, as he would bring the helmet down and just take a deep breath in. Okay. You got this, Midoriya. As he does exactly what he's seen his dad do. Over the years, he's seen his dad work on these bikes and knows exactly how he does things. So he has a bit more experience with them. As he does the jump, he does it successfully, succeeding where his dad failed, where his tire does not hit the back of the ramp and send him flying. He lands it and immediately starts braking. As that happens, he would power slide, landing and actually stopping directly at the end of the ramp. To the surprise of Mr. Kane, as he would just start clapping and tell him that is perfect. Now then, let's see. Another jump. Really? Right now? Well, yes, you already have the bike ready. I want to see you jump 6 car lengths. Are you sure? Well, yes, my boy. There's a suit in the back. I believe it's a spare your father has. Go get it, and we can get you ready. As Deku would do so. The ramp is set up as Deku jumps the extra length, and continues throughout the day doing this on repeat, until his dad would eventually walk into the tent and see Deku doing this, as he would ask who the new guy is. To which Deku would just drive over to him and immediately flip up the helmet, shocking Hasashi. Hasashi would just tell him that he is not doing this. To which Deku would just say that he's tired of cleaning out the pins and feeding the animals. Besides, you've taught me a lot of things about bikes, and I've seen how you do this, so I should be fine. As Deku and Hasashi begin to argue. This is whenever Mr. Kane, he would just hand Deku $100, saying that this will work for now. You can get the rest of the payment soon, boy. For now, we have to do this, so. Let's see. Blaze and Inferno. I love it. As the man walks away, Hasashi immediately yelling at Deku, telling him that he cannot do the jumps. They've caused him enough pain and enough hell, and they've nearly killed him. So if he's going to do them, then you gotta at least probably have a good bike. As for Shashi, he would just tell Deku that there's another one in the back. It's going to need to be repaired. If you can repair it before next week, before we leave, then you are in. Really? Yes, I've seen that bike. You cannot do it. As Deku would run in the back room, immediately looking at it. It's nothing more than just an engine, a chassis, a gas tank, and 2 flat tires. Deku, seeing this, would just be ready. He begins getting to work as fast as possible, taking old salvaged parts from, well, broken pieces. He's seen and grew up enough to read the manuals his dad has. His dad usually just uses the pages whenever he needs them. Doesn't read them properly, he just skips through it. Nothing much to do but learn and just sit around. Or stuff your face with funnel cakes at the carnival. So Deku was being productive, trying to find a good way to do this. He still does do school, but whenever he can, he usually just gets suspended, getting in fistfights and trying to defend whatever friends he has left. Hakakure being the exception. She's leaving soon, so that changes everything. Now, Deku, he would be working on this bike, as he would go to a shop. He would just ask the man exactly how long would it take to get this piece in. The man would just say that he has it on, well, right now, but, well, if you just bring the bike in, I can install it and put it on. As Deku would listen. He would bring the bike in as the man sees exactly how bad it is. Yeah, can you help me with this? Sure I can, kid, but there's an air pump outside. Air up the tires and it can make it easier on you. Alright, thank you. As Deku would walk outside, airing up the tires. As he sees a couple men just standing outside, looking at him. He just thinks that this is going to be a bit easy, right? As the man would just say, it should be fine. Although, aren't you that Blaze guy's kid? Yeah, that's me. Oh, right. He brought his bike in the other day after the carnival. Really? Yeah. You guys wear the brakes down a little too fast, don't you? Well, we're always practicing the jumps and making sure we get them good. We aren't trained, though. As the man immediately turns to him, saying that you're not trained? Kid, that's dangerous. Yeah, so is living on the street. I understand. Kid, here. As he would just hand Deku back his money, saying that the piece is on the house, but you gotta promise me a free funnel cake. Yes, sir. How about a ticket? As these two somewhat joke around for a minute. Deku actually somewhat smirking as the piece is installed on the bike and he needs to work on it a bit more. Now, the man would just offer Deku that he can just do this for some money, fixing the bike and actually working on it. Since he knows exactly how hard it is, that he's kind of just stuck there. So, they probably are getting paid to do this, or aren't getting paid to. Now, he would just say that he can fix the bike and you can just give me payments, small ones. As Deku would just hand back over the money, saying that this should cover it. The $100 he got from Mr. Kane and the $50 he's been sneaking out of his dad's pants whenever he just comes home drunk, it works. Albeit in dollars, fives, tens, some in change, it's perfect. The guy would just accept this, saying that that's your first payments. The other two, well, your other two are going to have to be a bit bigger though. Two, 225. You think you can cover that? Yeah, you should be able to. My boss, now that I say it out loud, it's kind of weird. He's gonna be, well, paying me soon after I do my first jump. Oh, so you need the bike. I got it. I'll have it finished before the next 2 days. Really? Thank you. As Deku would just shake the man's hand and leave. The guys, seeing Deku just walk down the road. Deku, he would just get back to the carnival as he sees that Toru and everyone, well, her family is packing up. As she would walk over to him and giving a hug as they leave. Deku, he would just watch her, stare at him until they get to the highway, as Deku just holds his hand out waving, as he sees that they're heading back for the city he once left. They're not that far. As a smile somewhat creeps over his face, thinking that there's at least a chance he'll see her. Now, Deku would walk back home, as he does find a note sitting on his bed. It would just say that her father got this job, he's doing this now. He was able to set aside enough money to get an apartment. And it's a bit lackluster, but it works. So, we'll be in this town. And, well, I don't have a phone yet, but when we do, I'll try and find you. Or just, well, I would say look online, but we don't have computers. Deku, finding this to be a bit bittersweet, he would just see that there's a number at the bottom. It's his dad's her dad's work phone. So it's at least a way to talk to them, as he would rip this piece of the paper off and put it in his pocket, walking over to a trash can. He tosses it in as he sees empty bottles and another piece of paper. He would just stick his hand down as he brings it up and reads it. His dad missed an appointment with a doctor, and he's supposed to be doing therapy. Physical and some for his ribs, as his back and spine are bad. He is also at risk of suffering from a heart attack and a possible stroke. To where Deku, reading this, would just have his father walk back in, as he says that, well, you got that bike working yet? I got it working. I'm working on it. But do you mind explaining this? As Deku would just hold a piece of paper. His dad would just start going off on how that's all nonsense, those doctors waste your time with insurance and all that. You pay thousands of dollars just to get told you're a flu and stuff like that. To which Deku would be annoyed, walking away and ignoring his father for a couple days. As that happens, Deku, he would go back to the shop, as whenever he walks in, it's late at night, and there's a bit of a scene. He walks in and sees that there's no one at the register, so he is a bit confused. It's quiet, but there's music playing. There's no power tools playing either. He was told to come back an hour ago, or he was told to come in like an hour ago, but he was a bit late. As Deku just walks in. He looks in the back and sees that there's no one back there. So he opens the door and sees that there is a man slumped against, the wall. He would run over and see that it's the mechanic that Deku's supposed to pay, as the man's coughing and is actually injured. Deku would just ask what happened here, and he would just say that those guys, they took the bike. They took a lot of stuff. They just wanted money. Now, Deku, he would just say that that's awful. But, well, Where did they went? Where did they? I just realized I made a cash error. It's 175 for the two payments Deku's supposed to get the guy. I just realized that. Now, sorry about that. Now then, Deku, he would just hear that those guys, they drove north. And then they disappeared. So, Deku, he would just tell the man that things will be fine. He's getting that bike back. He needs it. As he somewhat freaks out. He could call police, but they're not going to respond. They never do on this part of the city. They consider the fairgrounds to be a bit of a lost cause. Drunken fistfights, so they usually just send heroes out there. Street racing, no one's fast enough to catch those guys. But he's guessing that from this, as he would just look down the road, seeing that there's a garage. It should be fine. As he starts walking, he would see that there's a couple people working on cars, as he just asks them exactly if they've seen this bike, as he holds up a picture. They would just say they haven't seen it, but they know about people who just got one. As Deku would be redirected over and over again to different places. Until eventually, he finds this place. It's a bit, bad. It's an old abandoned warehouse where these guys, they're just talking, and there's loud music playing. Deku would just think that this is a bit, easy. He should just need to sneak in, get the keys, and get out of here as fast as possible. So, he just needs to wait for them to leave or fall asleep. As he sees them somewhat installing a weird device on one of the cars. He doesn't really think about it, as he would do one thing. He's able to sneak in, and he actually does have his face covered. He would do so as one of the men, they would see him grab his keys, as Deku turns around and swings a bat, smashing it in the guy's face, knocking him to the ground. He would run over and get his bike while no one notices, rolling it out of the warehouse and going straight down the street as fast as possible. They don't know what happened yet, they just know that the bike is missing. So they think that the guy who has it probably just took it out, as Deku would start it and it turns over, driving it directly back to the carnival, as fast as possible. Deku would arrive as he takes a deep breath in and is just sitting in his room, thinking that that's crazy. Oh man. As he does one thing, he decides to pick up the house phone and dial 911, telling them that there's a man injured at this shop. He went over there, and there is also, a warehouse for these guys. They're street racing. He saw them, and he saw their cars, and they're doing something weird to them, to which the police would somewhat try responding. Now, that is whenever Deku, he would just hang up the phone before they try and ask his name. He would just hang up the phone, then just try getting calm. As his dad would wake up and tell him that he needs to be quiet and just let him sleep. They got a big day tomorrow. Anyways, where's that bike? Oh, it's outside. As Sasashi would walk over, he would look at the bike as he sees that it's actually fixed. Okay, well, he got that done. So, we got a big day. Let's see what we can do with it. As he somewhat smiles and asks Deku exactly what he wants to do tomorrow. They have a stunt, and it's going to be a bit difficult. Mr. Kane's already somewhat drawn up plans and ideas. We're supposed to jump the ramp at opposite sides, and, it's going to sound crazy, but I think he wants us to jump a semi-truck. The full length of one? No. I think he wants us to jump probably 2 or 3 at least. Although the ramps are a bit tricky since we had to get a different tent. Now, Deku, hearing that, would just think that that's crazier. He's not even waiting for me to get settled in, he's just throwing me onto the fire. Now, Deku, he would eventually get to sleep, as they wake up early and set things up. Deku would see the distance, and he knows that it's at least difficult, but if he can get a head start and a good distance away, it should be fine. As they would begin, Deku, he's a bit nervous, but it's his big day. Blaze and Inferno will be jumping the semi-trucks. Not just that, whenever they do so, they'll pass a torch to each other. And just to make this stunt a little bit more dangerous, they are going to be wearing flame retardant suits and jumping through the rings. They have to pass a torch to each other while making sure not to get each other lit on fire. The most dangerous stunt yet, drawing in a big crowd and actually getting a little bit of media coverage. As Deku gets ready, he just is trying to stay calm as his suit is, well, smells crappy. But he just takes a breath in and breathes out. As his dad would just tell Deku that this will work. Don't worry. He can clearly see that his dad doesn't have a lot of confidence in this, and is actually very nervous, since he does smell like cigarettes. So, he gets ready. This is whenever Mr. Kane would announce it, as the semi-trucks are brought onto the field. He would just say that this is going to work. Trust me, folks. Craziest thing yet, and we still aren't done. As Hasashi would walk over and bring his hand up to his face. He covers his mouth, or well, covers his palm outwards, and brings his thumb up over his face, or his mouth, as he would shoot fire directly outwards, lighting the rings. The way he's covering his mouth shows that he won't light himself on fire. People being a bit confused and in shock at what he does. As Deku and him get ready, they would do the jump. Hasashi, he holds out the torch to pass it to Deku, and Deku, he would go to grab it. As soon as that happens, he somewhat misses. He grabs it a bit too high, his glove getting directly into the fire, as Deku doesn't feel this for a second until he looks over and freaks out in midair. He goes to bring his hand up to, well, catch it or, well, put it out, and this is whenever he smashes back down. As the bike jumps upwards, Deku immediately gets hit. He jumps over the bike, and his head gets ran over by it, as he's sent tumbling and rolling. As when he does so, his suit gets lit on fire. Hasashi, he would have landed safely and immediately ride his bike over, seeing exactly what happened to him. As soon as that happens, Deku, he would have been put out and actually checked to see if he was good. Deku only has a concussion, but that's normal. Aside from a bit of second to first degree burns. Now, as soon as that happens, Deku is told by his dad that he's not jumping ever again, as one thing would happen. Deku, he would get annoyed, but he understands. Not really. It's tricky for him. He gets it, but he was paid at least $2,000. He was able to cover the cost of the bike, and well, he's a bit angry. Now, the men who took Deku's bike in the first place, they saw this little stunt. they thought the man in the helmet was Deku's dad. So they decided to do one thing. After the race, they would have, well, not after the race, after the stunt, whenever they go into the back room and they get changed and put in different outfits. This is whenever the men would have confronted Deku's dad, as they would beat him. They would have gotten angry that they just stole their little prize. So they would have done this. As they would leave, Deku would finally get changed as he walks outside to see that his dad is injured. As he calls 911 once again, saying that some men beat up his dad and he's badly injured. Now, the ambulance, it would have come eventually and carry away his dad, as Deku feels a bit angry. He thinks he has an idea of who did this, but it could just be some honky-tonky drunk guy. So, while his dad is getting recovered in the hospital, he decides to go out. He begins to drive his bike around town and try and stop what he can. Now then, let's cut to about a year later. Deku's been doing good on his career and his side job as a vigilante. As one thing would happen. One day, whenever he breaks into a warehouse, he's a bit outgunned, and he is chased away. Deku, he would have gotten back to the Carnival, and this is where things get crazy. The men would immediately begin by gunning down everyone they can, and killing them all. After they did so, they would have made sure Deku gets the message, by leaving him gut shot, as they were pouring gasoline on him. Now, Deku just is lying there, as he is breathing very heavily. Hisashi would have walked out and seen what's going on. He would try fighting back against the men, actually fighting for dominance against the gas can. The man just smashing his hand in Hisashi's stomach, making him spit up a bit of blood and beer. As that happened, Deku would just watch them begin beating his dad, as one of them gets handed a crowbar, proceeding to hit him over and over and over again, as they cover his face in gasoline and light him on fire. Deku, he's just watching this in horror, as he realizes he made a mistake. He wants to make this right, but how can he do so? As he hears a voice. You want to make them pay, don't you? As Deku, he just looks up. Through his rapid breathing and panting, he just sees an old man, standing there with a cane. He just begins to say yes, he does. Well, do I have a deal for you? Listen, it's not much right now, but you can make them pay. You just need a bit of power. You're corkless, correct? As Deku's still listening to his dad scream. He would just say yes, he is, as one of the men would come over and just start talking with Deku, saying that look at this one, he's gone a bit crazy. That's what we should expect from the writer. As Deku's eyes dart back to the man, he would just say that he wants to make them all pay, as the man would stand up and kick Deku. The men would proceed to beat him until they get bored and leave. Deku, he's just laying there as he would take his final breaths. The last one being he wants them all to pay. As he... Now, Deku, he opens his eyes, as he's confused. Where am I? Well, kid, right now, this is your last, or, well, what is it? Humans call them final moments. But I'm here to make you a deal in your final moments. You want to hear it out, or hear me out? What is it? Well, you're about to die, and I need a friend on Earth. Okay, so exactly what am I supposed to do? Well, I'll bring you back to life, but you have to do me a favor. Okay, and what is that? You have to be the Ghost Rider. The what? Well, that's the title I'm giving you. In fact, you'll be the first one in your world. What? That's not important right now, kid, but listen to me. Those men killed your father. Don't you feel angry about that? Don't you want revenge? Yes, I do. As he can see the fire in Deku's eyes, even without the hellfire burning yet. Which is whenever Mephisto would stand up and walk over to Deku, saying, "Well then, I will give you this." As he just holds up a small orb, saying that this is called the Spirit of Vengeance. Quite a feisty little temper he has. But being in the mortal coil calms him a bit. Well, as much as you can calm what you call this monster. So what am I supposed to do? Well, this is the part where you take on its power. As he hands the orb out to Deku. Well, kid, you can accept it? Not much time. Besides, this is stronger than any quirk I've ever seen. Quirk? This is a quirk? No, kid, I said it's stronger than any quirk. But it's not. It is power. Straight from hell. Wait, that means you're Satan, yes. Well now. Don't got all day. Or, well, you don't. So, you gonna accept the offer? As Deku just holds out his hands, grabbing this little ball. As he just says yes. As he wakes up back on Earth. He just takes a deep breath, as he just pulls up his shirt and sees that his wound is healed. As that happens, he gets annoyed and angry at the same time. He decides that this is enough, walking over to his dad's bike and starting the engine. As a fire appears in his eyes, he begins to drive. He begins to ride. As the cars that he was following are not too far away. They're already 5 miles away, but Deku can feel them. He can smell the sin. Now, Deku, he's riding. As he does so, he notices that things are getting faster. No, he's getting faster. As the wheels would ignite, and he begins to leave a trail of fire. Deku then watches and sees that the men are staring at his bike whenever he does pull up. They would just see him, as they somewhat just say that the kid's alive. Not just that, appears he did have a quirk all along. As one, they would all just begin opening fire on him. As Deku walks into the warehouse. They would just say that the rider's here, and he's already about to die again. Now, as Deku gets filled with bullets and lead, they would just watch as Deku begins to smirk, and to start laughing. As he would do one thing, running over to one of them and grabbing them by the collar, as he begins to scream in their faces as his skull begins to eat away his own flesh. He begins to burn, and This man sees fear. He sees a monster. He sees pure evil. As he's looking at the writer would just say that penance is in order. As it gives the man the penance stare and he begins to scream. Deku just drops the man and he just keeps screaming over and over again, making his way towards everyone else. They begin to open fire as it's doing nothing against him. A man with a gun begins to fire at Deku's face as Deku just keeps running over to him. Deku tackles the man to the ground and he tries doing what he can, blowing the bullets into his face. Deku spinning them right back at him, giving him penance over and over again. Everyone in the warehouse screaming until Deku's job is complete. As he does one simple thing, getting the bike and driving back to the circus. As the writer, he smells more sin. He would find the ringmaster. The ringmaster, he's just staring at this man, saying, My, what an odd specimen you are. Exactly who are you, mister? The writer. Nice. Well, what can I do for you today? Or, well, tonight? Sin. What? You are drenched in sin, greed, fear, misogyny, and betrayal. You're coated in it. You wear it like a thick cologne. Really? Well, as the man, he would just pull a gun out from his pocket and begin firing directly at Deku. The bullets would do nothing as they hit Deku. Falling to the ground, the man would just say that he's had to start a new life before in a new circus. It's nothing new. This place, well, it's run its course. Tried getting away from all this crazy crap, gunfights, villains, heroes, pros. Thought I got away from it all. So, that's why I left America. This is not what I signed up for. As the writer would just lay up, the man being confused. Watching as the writer just pulls up the shirt and begins by grabbing the bullets sitting in his ribcage. What the hell? Penance is in order. As the man begins to unload into Deku more and more. As Deku's telling the writer to stop. The writer isn't listening to Deku. As the writer would walk over to the man and pick him up. As he begins to scream in his face and give him the penance stare. Well, that happens. Deku can see every sin this man has committed. It's bad. He used to run a circus back in America, had them for freaks. He did whatever he could. He didn't care. He drove a man too far, and he knows exactly why that guy quit when he was younger. The man tried a stunt that got a man killed. Chopped them up in helicopter blades. Disgusting and nasty. Not a good way to go. So, he doesn't care. He's trying to do that stunt all over again. Trying to see if it's even possible and get media coverage for it. He changed his face, he changed his looks, but nothing mattered. He doesn't care. He also is just a bad guy. As Deku just dropped the man to the ground. As he detransforms, Deku immediately being in shock at what just happened. He just walks over, seeing that the man's eyes are burned over. As he somewhat begins to puke. He wants to leave, but he knows he needs to leave. But if he stays here, this is all wrong. His home is destroyed. So is everything he's ever loved. he never knew his mother, he only knew his father. Now he's dead. So is everyone else. As Deku looks at the bag of money, he does one thing as he decides to take it. Running back to his trailer, he would grab his backpack and he would get all the money he saved up, all the money his dad had stashed away, and anything the guy had, as he would take the bike and drive away. As he heads for the city. Now then, that is going to be where I leave this part off, guys. I do hope you enjoyed the video, and the writer has arrived.